Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. And welcome back to the ASI Weekly Q&A with Shaykh Akram Nadwi, usually on every Thursday at 6 p.m. But today we have a special session with the Shaykh, where the Shaykh will be delivering a brief reminder about the virtues of Muharram, hence why we're starting at 5:45, and then we'll carry on until 6:30 as normal. So without further ado, Sheikh, the floor is all yours.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. The first thing that we need to keep in mind, and we should keep reminding ourselves again and again, that the relation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to all his slaves is a relation of rahmah, mercy. He just wants to do favor and rahmah upon them. He just wants to benefit them. There's no other relation. He created. He does not need them. He does not need us. He does not need our help. He does not need our ibadah. He does not need us to worship him. Has no need really. If all the people worship him, that is not going to increase anything in his kingdom. And if all the people disobey him, they become kafir, unbelievers, nothing going to harm him. So when we worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there's nothing to benefit him. All the ibadat that Allah has made obligatory on the people, it is because he wants to benefit them. So when people believe in him, they get benefit from that. There's so much huge benefit in believing in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When people pray 5 times a day, they get huge benefit from the prayers. Similarly, when people pay zakat, they are the one who rewarded. They are the one who get benefit. When people fast in the month of Ramadan, they are the one who get benefit. So first thing that we have to keep in mind is that all the ibadat that Allah has made obligatory, he made out of mercy. He knows how much benefit is in this ibadah. If he had not made it obligatory, we would not have done. So then we would have been deprived of the benefit. So if he did not make fasting of the month of Ramadan obligatory, most of us never would have fasted. Then we never could have got benefit of fasting. Similarly, if he had not made the 5 times of prayer obligatory, many of people did not pray. Even now they don't pray. So how could they get benefit of prayer? So when Allah makes something obligatory, he makes obligatory out of his rahmah and mercy and kindness. He wants to benefit us. So that's what you need to learn really. And anything that is the most beneficial, he will make it obligatory. If he did not make something obligatory, it always will be less than what he made obligatory, because it's impossible for him that leave things more beneficial and make things which are less beneficial as obligatory. It's impossible. So the most important prayers will be always 5 times of prayer, always. There are Qiyamul Layl, Tahajjud, there is Salatul Duha, the prayer before noon. There are so many prayers. The Prophet ﷺ has been praying, and the companions have been praying, and the pious people have been praying, but none of those prayers have reward of the further prayer. Further prayer is the most important prayer. Whatever sins people do between Fajr and Zuhr, all the sins are forgiven when they do the prayers properly. So 5 times the prayer is enough for the people for their sins to be forgiven. Those extra prayers, they are helpful, but they cannot take place of these prayers. Similarly, what Allah has made obligatory on the people to do pay as zakat, that enough for them. That purifies their wealth, cleans, that make them nearer to Allah, that all the due right that is due in the wealth is paid properly. Zakat is enough for the people. If people pay sadaqah, they get extra reward, benefit, but no sadaqah can be as important as the zakat. Zakat always will be the best thing, most important thing, most rewardable. That's what Allah has made. Similarly, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made Hajj obligatory on the believers. Once in life, if they can afford. Nothing can be equal to Hajj. Your Nafl Hajj or Umrah, they can't be equal to your Fard Hajj. That always will be the most important that you do in the life. Similarly, the fasting of the month of Ramadan. Nothing can be equal to the month of Ramadan. Nothing. No fasting ever. If people fast, if somebody fasts all the year, that will never be even equal to 1 day of fasting of month of Ramadan. It's impossible. Never can happen. So that what we need to keep in mind is that the most important thing for the believers is to fast in the month of Ramadan. That's most important. If they don't fast any other day, nothing will happen. Allah will be happy, pleased, and they will get all the rewards, and their sins will be forgiven. Paradise will be open for them, and just will receive them, because month of Ramadan is so important. And that is the month Allah has made obligatory in the Quran, and that what the Prophet ﷺ has been commanding people to do. So that is the most understand this thing properly. Then after that, you come actually some of those fasting, like the prayers. There are prayers which are not further, recommended. Similarly, there are fastings which are not obligatory further, but they are recommended. Like, the fasting of the day of Arafah, fasting of Ashura, that, this month Muharram, 10th of Muharram, fasting every Monday and Thursday, fasting 3 days in the month, 13th, 14th, 15th of every Arabic calendar. These fastings are beneficial, but they are not equal to the month of Ramadan. That nobody should actually teach, and nobody should think really. The reward that you get in these fasting are when you fast the month of Ramadan. Then your sins are very little left, because month of Ramadan has cleaned you. So now little bit, things which are there, these fasts come and they do. But if somebody does not fast month of Ramadan and they fast these days, nothing will happen actually. Very little, maybe there's no reward. The most important reward is when people fast in the month of Ramadan. So that understand really, all the rewards of other fasting, they depend on the fasting of the month of Ramadan. So first thing is fast month of Ramadan properly, and if you fast that one, you don't need any other fasting. That's why somebody asked Hassan Basir rahimahullah ta'ala, one of the great tabi'i, what do you say about the fasting of 6 days of Shawwal? So he said, Allah is pleased with you that you fast in the month of Ramadan. You don't need their fasting, nothing. Anyway, still people love to do extra ibadat. They know her. But those extra ibadat never should be exaggerated. They never should be made as they are better somehow than Ramadan. If people fast all the day in the year, from Shawwal to end of Sha'ban, that never can be equal to 1 day of the fasting of month of Ramadan. Month of Ramadan will be always the best thing. If people fast month of Ramadan, then after that they fast some other things. Yeah, sometimes you do some minor sins, so they'll be fast. Like Arafah, many people fast their Arafah, the sins of previous month and the sins of the next month and next previous year and next year are forgiven. Meaning it, after fasting the month of Ramadan, if any sins are left, otherwise some more rewards. That's the meaning. If people don't fast month of Ramadan, Arafah cannot actually recompensate all that. Never can do. Arafah is only in keeping in mind that you have done the fard of Allah. Similarly, all the prayers like Duha, night prayers, they do have reward once you do the fard prayer. So that what we need to understand, that the nafla thing and sunnah thing, they only are important when people have done fard. So one of them is Ashura, the 10th of Muharram. That was a fasting done even before Islam. And Arab people in Jahiliyyah, they had got something remaining from the earlier religions, maybe from Ibrahim al-Islam. So one of those things was they used to fast on the 10th of Muharram. So the Prophet ﷺ, always liked to follow the pious people, good tradition, fasting, good thing anyway. So he also fasted. And he also advised his companions to fast on 10th of Ashura. When he did Hijrah to Medina, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made the fasting of the month of Ramadan obligatory. Then he left, he did not, he allowed, tell people, no important to fast Ashura, that's because he loved fasting. But once Ramadan has come, there's no need of any fasting. So he asked people, that up to them, if you are fasted, like nafla fasting, but it is not so important. So that's what happened actually is. And that was the 1 day. Some people think the Quran said, كتب عليكم يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. and then come Ayyam Ma'dudat. People think that is referring to the Ashura. That's not right. Ashura never have been further, and Ashura is only one day anyway. And Quran calls Ayyam Ma'dudat. Few days. It is actually Ramadan. Ashura is never more than one day. So that was Ashura. Ashura was the fasting of the Jahiliyyah people, Quraysh people, even before Islam, and the Prophet followed that. But once he got Ramadan, he left it. Then in Medina, he found out the Jews also fast 10th of Muharram, Ashura. So he asked them, why do you fast this day? So they say because that is the day when Musa alayhi salam left Egypt with Bani Israel, and they were saved from Pharaoh. And Pharaoh was drowned in the water. So we celebrate that. So then the Prophet said, "Nahnu awla wa haqqu bi Musa minkum." We are nearer to Musa alayhi salam. We deserve him. We are more close to him than you, because the Prophet is his prophet. All the prophets are like brothers. And his ummah is the real followers of the prophets, not the Jews. So we deserve that. So then the Prophet again started fasting the 10th of Muharram. 10th of Muharram he fasted, because now this fasting was because of the Jews. Because the Prophet used to follow good tradition. So he left Jahiliyyah tradition, but he started following this one. Then at the end of his life, he was commanded to differ from the Jews even in good things. The reason is because Jews have been cursed. So even their good ways have been cursed. So the Prophet was very keen to even change their good things that they used to do, because Allah has cursed them. So he said, if I'm alive next year, I will add one more day. I will fast 9th and 10th. Or maybe 10th, 11th, but 2 days. Because Jews fast only one day, I will add one more day if I'm alive next year. But he passed away before next fasting came, and he could not fast the following year. Because he fasted in Rabiul Awwal, and then after that he could not fast the next year of Muharram 10th. Now the ulama are two groups. One group says, since the Prophet says, if I'm alive next year, I would fast one more day. So people say the Prophet was not alive, but we have to follow his his desire, his will, because he wants to differ from the Jews. So it is better to fast 2 days in order to distinguish ourselves from the Jews. So they say Sunnah is to fast 9th and 10th, or 10th and 11th. There are other ulama that say no, if he was not alive, he did not fast, then it need not happen. Then 10th is enough. And also, the reason that he gave is he wanted to differ from the Jews. Now Jews don't fast on this day, nothing actually, it's not their fasting. So, for our purpose, it will be enough for the people to fast on the 10th of Muharram one day, and the reward is forgiveness of the sins of one whole year. But I mentioned what means sins after you have fasted the month of Ramadan, after you praying all 5 prayers a day, and after you do your zakat obligatory, you avoid zina, stealing, all the major sins. Then after that, sometime you do minor sins, something like that. So, if something left from Ramadan, this will, cover something like that. Or maybe your rewards are added. But that's what the meaning is. It does not mean really that the fasting of these days, they can be, purification for your major sins, or kufr, or shirk, zina, or lying, or backbiting, or stealing, or killing someone. It's not that somebody kills someone and fasts Ashura, then all his sins are forgiven. Then why there is qisas in Islam? There are all those things. To understand properly, when we say if somebody fasts on the 10th of Ashura and his sins are forgiven for 1 year, meaning is that person also fasts month of Ramadan. He pays zakat. He prays 5 times a day. He does not backbite anybody, does not harm anybody, does not hurt anybody, does not do mockery, does not laugh at the believers, does not make problem against believers. People like that, sometimes they do small sins, like sometimes they throw something on the road, or sometimes, could be they look at a woman, and they get enjoyment with that, or something like that. These are minor sins. So they will be forgiven by 5 times the prayer. They are forgiven by nafl fastings. They are forgiven by the nafl prayers. So, and we always do sins anyway. Minor sins keep happening. So it is good for the believers to find a time when they can purify themselves and clear themselves. So Ramadan is enough, but still we are so sinful people. So whenever we get an opportunity to purify ourselves more and more, we should be keen to do this. So like 9th of Dhul Hijjah, that's Arafah, we fasted. Now this 10th of Muharram, today the second Muharram. So after 8 days, it's more likely Friday, and not tomorrow. The next Friday will be 10th of Muharram. So if you can fast one day or maybe 2 days, but my opinion is that one day is enough, because that's what the Prophet used to do, and that's what Ashura means. Ashura means 10th of Muharram. It does not mean 9th or 10th or 10th, 11th. The reason he wanted to add one day is to differ from the Jews. But now that no more any reason to differ from the Jews, because Jews even don't fast anything. So that's enough, inshallah. Stop it here. And if you have any questions, please ask.
Jazakallahu khairan, Sheikh, for that really, really interesting reminder. Inshallah, we'll start taking questions now. The first question we got is from Fariha, who says, how should I get my 6-year-old child to perform salah? She prays with me when I strictly ask her to pray, but she doesn't pray with interest. How should I increase her enthusiasm without being strict?
Yeah, you don't need to be strict, with the children, because when you are not there, then they will not do anything. We have to increase and create the love of obedience of Allah and worship in the people. It is the way is to remind them Allah's favors, and that we should be grateful, and that anything that we have got is just because of Him. If He wants to take away, He can take. The many people, they are dying out of cancers. If Allah wants, He can do to us. There are many people die in the road accidents. If He wants, He can do this. The safety that we have got, the security that we have got, the food that we have got, all Allah's commands, our health, our parent, our peace, everything. So we need to remind the people we depend in our life on Allah. If He is not happy, then nothing. There's no enjoyment, nothing. He can take any time. He gives time. He delays the punishment for a reason, because He is merciful Rahman. But people cannot get all favors with disobedience. It's impossible. So we need to remind, remind your child that you thank me, you are grateful to me because I take care of you, I love you. Allah is more loving and more caring than anyone else. So we should be good. That's what you need to do. Teach them the Quran, teach them to understand and think. But don't force. Forcing something never helps.
Jazakallahu khairan, Sheikh. The next question is by Junaid, who asks, is it true that it is prohibited to sell gold for money unless the full price is paid in the same sitting?
The Prophet said, don't sell gold for gold or silver for the silver, and sixth thing he mentioned, except they should be equal and the same sport. So this is we call riba Islam. It is riba, it's not real riba. It's not the one Quran forbid. This is Quranic riba is riba of the qard. When people borrow money and then you lend money to someone and then you charge something, that like banking. The banking interest is a real riba, Jahiliyyah. That's what Islamic banking are doing to make it halal. That's what we are so much against Islamic banking, because they are making real riba halal, and they want to show that it's like a business, it's not buying and selling. People want to borrow money, and you lending money, and you call it business. So that actually Quran says, they say qalu innamal bay'u mithlu riba. Jahili people say buy is like a riba. So Allah is very angry with them that you make both same. They're two different things. This riba, that don't sell gold for gold and silver for except equal. That's not real riba. That actually because some it could be used for riba. I have written articles on that. Maybe you can read really. So I don't have time to explain that what meaning is. Now in the past, gold and silver used to be medium of exchange. So they were the real money. So that's why the people treat them as money. But now really gold and silver, they're not a medium of exchange. Money is another thing. So and silver and gold have become goods. So I don't think that when you buy gold and silver, you have to think you are buying money for money. Gold and silver are like goods, like other goods. Yeah, if you sell gold for gold, or silver for silver, yeah, then it should be on the swing sport. But if you're buying by money, like any commodity, you can have time, you can do anything that what I prefer.
Jazakallahu khairan, Sheikh. The next question is by Muhammad, who asks, if a person sleeps after Asr and Maghrib, his memory becomes weak. Is this an authentic hadith?
The thing really is, there is authentic hadith not against Sunnah. It's a very big laziness anyway, really. People should sleep when the time for the sleep. Unless you're tired, people should sleep sometime in the night. And then sometime maybe during the lunch time, when they become tired. And then after that, active, after Asr, between Asr and Maghrib, is not, because that's very good time really for everything. That when the evening is coming, it's very cooling down. Between Asr and Maghrib, very, very important for dhikr, for everything. Same after Fajr. Many people sleep after the Fajr. So these are the best time. So people can lose memory, but I don't think it's not authentic. But anyway, people are deprived of the good. Because when Allah made the time to earn a good, to do something good, at that time you're sleeping, you're deprived of the good. So people should change their habit, unless somebody is working, in different hours, and the only time they get to sleep is that's fine. But otherwise, don't make your habit like that. Sleep in the night, and maybe a little bit during the lunch time.
Jazakallahu khairan, Sheikh. The next question is by Shahriyar, who asks, is it incorrect to say that we are the Khalifa of Allah?
Why it is incorrect? Allah said that you are Khalifa. So why is it incorrect? Why that is incorrect? Allah made Adam, and Adam's descendants are the Khalifa of Allah. But Khalifa, what Khalifa means, you have to understand that. Khalifa does not mean that Allah has disappeared and you taking his place. Khalifa simply means that he has given you command and he wants you to carry out the command. That's all. He is absent. Khalifa, like when I make somebody Khalifa, means I withdraw. But when Allah made Khalifa, he's still in the charge. But he wants to test people. So he's giving them some choice, some options, and he wants to see how they do. But if they don't behave properly, he can remove. Like the king makes governors, sees how they do. If they don't behave properly, he removes them. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made us Khalifa. It does not mean that Allah is no more there. No, Allah is all the time there. He wants to test us, how we behave. So we are Khulafa of Allah, but Khilafa has another meaning here. And meaning is that we are commanded to enforce Allah's commands on ourselves and on the people and in the things that we control.
Ahsanallah ilayka, Sheikh. The next question says, Salam, Sheikh. Each time a husband and wife make relations, does the wife have to shower even if there is no liquid release?
Yeah, once a relation happens, then after that, ghusl becomes obligatory. Real relation, sexual relation, we call intercourse. And that hadith of Aisha, إِذَا التَّقَى الْخِتَانَانِ, when the both private parts meet, then after that, ghusl becomes obligatory, even if there no discharge. Even if men don't have discharge, it's still ghusl will be obligatory. Once that happens, the ghusl is obligatory for few things. One is discharge itself. If semen comes out, discharge happen without relation, ghusl is obligatory. Even dream, ghusl happens when people have relation, intercourse, even if there's no charge in discharge, it's still obligatory. And for the women, ghusl becomes obligatory after they become pure from haid or nifas, from their monthly cycle. So ghusl not obligatory only when people have discharge. It could be just by when the two private parts meet.
Jazakallahu khairan, Sheikh. The next question is by Ahmed, who asks, Assalamu alaikum. How does a person improve their writing in Arabic for writing articles and stories?
These things actually are same for every language anyway. It's more reading, reading the good people that you want to write in their language. Like, for example, if you want to write contemporary Arabic, to read the people who are contemporary good Arabic writers. Like there was Shaykh Ali Tantawi, read all his books. Taha Hussein, Ahmad Amin, Mahmud Muhammad Shakir. These are the great people of literature, Zayyat, Manfuluti. To read these people many, many times again and again. And also past people like Jahid. So then you become good writer and then keep writing, practicing. So one day you become good writer. But all reading, practicing, there's no magic. It's not that you desire or something happen. I like very much. Somebody came to Mahmoud Muhammad Shakir, asked him that, tell me, I want to study an Arabic dictionary, which one I should study? So he said, start with the Lisan al-Arab. So he said, by 20 volumes, it is a big thing. So he said, if you can't study 20 volumes, then leave. Why you want to study Arabic language anyway? Just do any other business in the life. Go and do business and do some other works. But that's what knowledge is. If you are tired of 20 volumes, you can't do anything. The people, that problem is, I've seen many people, they have desired to become good writers. But nothing happens with the desire. You need to have will and effort. The Urdu people say, आरज़ू से कुछ नहीं होता, इरादे से होता. आरज़ू नहीं, इरादा. You don't need to have will, desire. What you need to do is a will, a strong will to do, and then act upon that. And then force yourself to read as good people, and then practice, follow them. One day, inshallah, Allah will give you as He gives everything.
Barakallahu feek, Sheikh. The next question asks, these days women get extensions put on their lashes. Can wudu be made with lash extensions?
If I don't know really what it means, if the water doesn't go inside, you need to wash the skin. So there are something which can stop, prevent the water from reaching to the skin. Yeah, those things will be not right. But there are things, if you apply, but water still can reach to the skin, then yeah, wudu is fine. So I don't know really what it is. Is there prevent water from reaching to the skin? If it does, then wudu is not valid. If it does not prevent, then fine.
Jazakallahu khairan, Sheikh. The next question is by Riaz, who asks, Salam, Sheikh, how should we deal with the LGBTQ movement and people?
Thing really in this world, there are so many things, kufr and shirk and Jews and Christians, Hindus and Sikhs. People worship idols and always have been kufr and shirk all there. There's no evil worse than kufr and shirk, nothing. If somebody is LGBTQ, whatever, and they believers, there could be Allah can forgive them, they go to paradise. But if somebody is unbeliever, kafir, mushrik, somebody worships idols, they never go to paradise. Impossible, never. So all these things have remained in the world all the time. What we need to do, have a good sense, understand, worship your Lord, obey Him. That's very important. And for other people, nice relation, good relation, explain to them as best as possible, because some of these things have been made, through the laws. So you can't actually criticize something clearly. So you have to be clever, because otherwise your dawah will be stopped. So you have to do good things, and instead of making movement against these people, call them to worship Allah, to obey Allah. Once people start worshipping Allah, obeying Him, they would like to be good in everything. So the best thing for Muslims at that moment is not to make your dawah negative or criticizing other people. Make it more positive. Call people to thank Allah, to be grateful, to worship Him, to obey Him. Start with that, inshallah.
Jazakallahu khairan, Sheikh. The next question is by Ahmed, who asks, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Is there any benefit in reading the books of Ibn Sina and the other philosopher?
Could be for some people, not for everybody, because these Ibn Sina and philosophers, they are very, sophisticated and very clever people. So not everybody will understand them first, and many people understand who could be influenced by them wrongly. So people like that, they should be, people who want to read it, they should be clever enough to understand. Second thing is, they should be clever enough to understand the weakness of the arguments they make. So you should know Islamic arguments and all those things properly. So there are benefits, because in the Sina and philosophers, they are very clever people. So they can make you to think and understand. They can, teach you how to present your arguments. Very good thing. Many things you can learn really. But as long as you know your right argument properly. If you don't know Quran and Sunnah, could be likely that you are influenced by them and you are misled. So I'll say really, first thing, I don't know you. So if you know Quran and Sunnah properly, you know the history of pious people and Sahaba and Tabi'een, then after that you read in Sina, you can learn many things. Like I myself actually learned many things from Sina and all these philosophers. They are great thinkers.
Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh. Another question by Ahmed is what should a person study in hadith after Muwatta of Imam Malik, and when should a person study Mishkat Al-Masabih?
Mishkat actually is before what the Mishkat in India used to be taught before anything else. The people only focus on the matan of the hadith and the text without knowing isnad and chain of narration. So they know the meaning. So that's why the purpose was there. Then after that they study Muwatta, Bukhari or Muslim. That's after that. So I'll start the right order will be people start with Bulugh al-Maram, Riyadus Salihin. Then the people learn maybe Mishkat a little bit. Then come to Muwatta, then read Bukhari and Muslim, or maybe before Bukhari Muslim, read Sunan al-Tirmidhi, Abu Dawud, then you come to Bukhari Muslim. But reading should be with understanding. You have to know what they're doing really. So I have taught some courses on, the methodology of 6 books and science of the hadith. If you can listen to them, then you understand how sophisticated the whole thing. I have written also a book, Tamheed al-Ilm al-Hadith. Maybe you need to study that one. There's a book, Mustal Muhaddithin. Some of these things. I wrote a book, Madkhal ila Sahih Bukhari. If you read some of these books, it will help you to understand the science of hadith, inshallah.
Barakallahu feek, Sheikh. The next question is by Azran, who asks, was the fast of Jahiliyyah the same as that of the Muslims?
Yeah, it looks like that because the Prophet never made any difference between the fasting of Jahiliyyah. So they used to fast, the whole day. It could be possible that they even did not do anything in the night because there was only one day fasting anyway. That was not a very difficult thing. So they have got that tradition. I don't think everybody in Jahiliyyah used to fast. The Prophet used to follow the way of pious people. So there in Quraysh, there are some people, they were very pious people. The Prophet could have learned from them, noble people of the society, and if we followed them. But exactly, we don't know really. Anyway, but it's called fasting. That's what we know.
Jazakallahu khairan, Sheikh. The next question, again by Ahmed, is what was Shah Waliullah's view on Ibn Arabi's Wahdat Al-Wujud? How come he was into tasawwuf so much while being a hadith scholar?
Yeah, Shah Waliullah Dehlvi rahimahullah ta'ala, may Allah forgive him. He had basically 2 different aspects of his life. One is as a scholar, muhaddith, faqih, mufassir. In that one actually he's very eminent. He's after Ibn Taymiyyah, nobody like him really in all these things in hadith, tafsir, fiqh, understanding the wisdom of Islam and all those things. But the problem really is Ibn Taymiyyah, followed the Islam in every single aspect of his life. Waliullah Dehlavi make a distinction. So in these things he followed the Quran, he's a good scholar. But in other things like spiritual life and tasawwuf and inner life, he followed the way of all the Sufis people. To all the problems that you get to any Sufi, Waliullah Dehlavi had all those things in his books are really amazing. Some of those things are very dangerous. You don't understand how a clever man like him could accept something like that. So he actually likes Ibn Arabi. He believes in Wahdat Al-Wujud, and he said that Wahdat Al-Wujud is in every single verse of the Quran. So, this is a very dangerous thing. So, anyway, to Waliullah Dehlavi, we distinguish between him as a alim and between him as a Sufi.
Jazakallahu khairan, Sheikh. The next question is by As-Sayyid, who asks, can we combine Maghrib and Isha in the summer months?
No, don't need to combine, but if the days are very long and night is very short, so you can make a distance a little bit, more than full. Generally, Isha will be 2 hours after Maghrib, or 1.5 hours after Maghrib. You can pray Isha 1 hour after Maghrib, or maybe 45 minutes after Maghrib, but don't combine because Allah has made 5 prayers. So you can't make 4. It should be 5 times. Prayer are the 5 times. So people should make some space. Meaning people pray Maghrib, they go home, then come back for Isha, maybe after half an hour, 45 minutes. That's better. But don't combine unless you are traveling or you are not feeling well or it is raining, then in the masjid people can announce. But in normal conditions, people should pray 5 prayers at 5 times. There is no proof in Islam to have two prayers in the same time without any reason. There's no proof at all.
Jazakallahu khairan, Sheikh. The next question is by Abdul Rahman, who says, in Sahih Muslim, in Kitab Al-Dhikr Wal-Du'a, the Prophet ﷺ says, إِنَّهُ لَيُغَانُ عَلَى قَلْبٍ. What did the Prophet mean by that? What was the Prophet making istighfar from?
Like for example, when you're walking and there is smokes, somebody, smokes a cigarette or something like that, you can get a smoke. So then you want to clean yourself, something like that. So whenever you pass by any dirt, like bad smell or something, toilets, the people are dirty, so you get a smell. So similarly, when the people have got sins, and when the prophets are mixed with the people, his sins, can have some effect. I mean, he can feel really there's something bad. So then he made a lot of dhikr until they're clean. Like when you get a stain on your clothes, you have to clean it. But the Prophet is so pure, he realized very quickly. We don't realize. We live in that. So the Prophet, the stain that he gets not from himself, it out other people's stain. But then he removes it. He does not remain with that.
Jazakallahu khairan, Sheikh. Next question is, how does one get hold of your Urdu book about the age of al-Mu'mineen Aisha?
Oh, you're right, really. I don't have many copies. Yeah, it's a good reminder. Inshallah, I will get some copies. It has been published also from Pakistan. So there is one published in India, and also some people Pakistan also publish. So I'll ask them to send some copies.
Jazakallahu khairan, Sheikh. The next question is, why are there so many ulama from Azamghar in UP? What are the historical reasons?
Oh, this is a good question, really. I come from Jaunpur, and next to me is the Azamghar. It all used to be Jaunpur, one state, and it was the Sultanate Sharqiyya, and Shah Jahan said, Jaunpur is Shiraz Mast. It's our Shiraz, like Shiraz in Iran, center of ulama. That's how Jaunpur. These eastern cities were centers of learning, madrasas, a big tradition. So until now, it continues. You don't find so many madrasas any part of India as you find in the region that I come from, Jaunpur, Azamghar, all those places. Once one of my friend, he was from Azamghar, so Shaykh Akram Nadwi, our teacher, asked him, where are you from? So he said, I'm from Azamghar. So he said, in India, among every 3 learned people, one must be from Azamghar. So see, 1/3 of learned people are from Azamghar. So it is really, if you go to the villages and you can see, in every village there are so many ulama and learned people. So they have kept the tradition alive.
Jazakallahu khairan, Sheikh. The next question is, Salam, Sheikh. Can we still get full reward if we miss the sunnah fasting of Ashura due to our limitation when menstruation happens? What should we do on the day? Thank you.
If the women, they can't do certain ibadah because of their menstruation, they get reward that if they have been doing when they were well. So for example, if last year you did not have menstruation and you fasted Ashura, and this year you could not fast because of your menstruation, Allah will reward you for that. To any ibadah that you have been doing when you are pure, you get the reward, of the ibadah when you are not pure, because then it's not something that you're doing on your will. But women actually can do millions of the things, You can do dhikr, you can read the Quran, you can understand the Quran, you can teach the Quran, you can command the good, you can forbid the evil, you can spend the money, you can serve the people, you can look after the people, you can help the people. All these have millions of so much reward really. Some of the rewards could be better than the fasting. Somebody in need of your help and you help that person, it is better than fasting. If somebody actually is very distressed and nobody to talk to him, you go and talk to the person and console the person, you get huge reward. If you remove the pain from anybody, if grief from anybody, there are so many women, they have so many problems, they actually keep texting me and messaging me of their problems. One person cannot consult everybody. But if some of you women, they make their habit, find out who are the sisters who are in problem, let us visit them, phone them, look after them, care for them, you will get more reward than nafla ibadah, than nafla fasting. You get more reward. So rewards are not only fasting. Actually, fasting will have least reward compared to these. To be nearer to a broken heart is much more important than fasting. Then even go doing Hajj actually. If you care for one person, is better than Nafl Hajj or Nafl Umrah.
Jazakallah khairan, Shaykh. The next question is by Zarina, who asks, is it authentic that 1 out of 4 sacred months, Muharram is the most virtuous month and is known as the month of Allah?
No, all the months are month of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but Muharram and Dhul Qa'dah, Dhul Hijjah, Al-Shawwal, they are the month of the Hajj. So that's why they are called month of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because people go there to visit his house. But otherwise, all the months are month of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah has made a word like Ramadan. Ramadan is also month of Allah, because we fast in the month of Ramadan. So I don't think really Muharram is the most important among all the months. Problem really is that many Shia people and also Sunni people, there is exaggerated about Muharram more than that really. They have made Muharram more than important than the month of Hajj, than the month of Ramadan. So that is a big problem. Things should be kept as they are. They should not be exaggerated.
Jazakallahu khairan, Shaykh. The next question is by Shahir, who asks, one hadith says Prophet's parents are in hell, while Quran says Allah does not punish before sending a warner. Why would they be punished even though no warner or clear scripture was sent?
How you know that there is no warner? And people need a warner, for something which they don't understand. But something Allah has made in people's nature to believe in one God is obligatory on the people, even if they don't have prophet. Imam Abu Hanifa says very rightly, if somebody lives in a place where there's no Quran, no Sunnah, no messenger, still it's obligatory on him to worship Allah alone. So that is important thing, and best thing is don't discuss these matters. Because people are sentimental, they don't like about the Prophet to say something like that, and there's no benefit really. We don't make people to go to paradise or hellfire. We don't do this, Allah does. So why we are want to involve in something which we have nothing to do? So leave to Allah. He knows who to enter to paradise, who to enter to hellfire. We should be careful.
Jazakallahu khairan, Shaykh. And the final question that we'll take for today is Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How reliable is Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb's Fatawa Alamghiri, which served as India's law during Islamic rule?
No, this actually Fatawa is called Fatawa Hindi or Fatawa Alamghiri. It was compiled by the ulama, not Alamghiri. He used to revise them, he used to look at them. He was very pious, he was a learned person. But a team of the ulama, huge team actually, and the 4 people were supervisors. But a number of the people who wrote, the many, it is good, but it is based on Hanafi madhab. It's not based on all madhab, because that was the madhab there. So they have compiled the Fatawa book, this book, from all the major Hanafi sources. They refer to that. So for Hanafi madhab, it is one of the good and authentic source, no doubt really, and a good effort. But not necessarily everybody will agree with that, because as I mentioned, there are so many madhab in Islam, so many opinions, and everybody has got their argument. So if people don't follow our this Fatawa or Hindiya, there's no harm in that. They can follow something else. But the Fatawa itself is a good Fatawa. It is very authentic. It means authentic account to Hanafi madhab.
That's all for today, unfortunately. Jazakallahu khairan, Shaykh. If your question hasn't been answered, please remember it and perhaps we can aim to answer it next week. Jazakallahu khairan, Shaykh, for your time, and Jazakallahu khairan, everyone, for joining. We'll be back next week, Thursday at 6 p.m. BST. As always, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.